तव कथामृतम् तप्तजीवनम् कविभिरीडितम् कल्मषापहम् श्रवणमङ्गलम् श्रीमदाततम् भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जनाः भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जनाः.
Om Tava Kathāmritam Tapta Jivanam Kavibiriditam Kalmashapaham Shravanamangalam Shrimadatatam Bhuvigrunanti Ye Bhuridajana. We are studying the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna and the conversations of June 10th, 1883. And there, a question has been asked, a devotee, "Sir, please bless us." That is the request, "Please bless us." Now in reply, what do you expect? Thakur will bless him. And what is the meaning of blessing? Some people think if somebody blesses, we are getting things. But what is the real blessing? The Guru shows the way. That is the best blessing. That is what we understand from Thakur's reply. So, that is the one thing. A devotee says, "Sir, please bless us," and Master tells him, "God is in all beings." That means in you and in everybody, but there is a but. You must apply to the gas company. It will connect the storage tank with the pipe in your house. That was the old system in Calcutta. There was a gas company, and if you apply to them, in your house there may be burners, and the gas company will connect your line with their pipe. What does this mean, but? Which is the gas company here? The source of all power. And that seems to be only God. So you are asking me to bless you. In me also there is God, in you also there is God. But you have to apply to God, not to a person. And how should that application be? One must pray earnestly. So, all this is in reply to "Please bless us." So, he is telling the requirement of receiving a blessing. Now, you are asking for blessing. But are you serious about it? Or you will go about your own way and just by somebody's blessing you will pass? So, one must pray earnestly. That means you must feel what you are praying. It is said that one can realize God by directing by directing to him the combined intensity of three attractions. Now this you remember in the second day's meeting with M had asked in what condition one will realize God. And there Thakur had told this very thing exactly. Here he seems to have added, it is said, as if some Shastras have told that. It may have come from Sri Ramakrishna himself. And we know he had said that. Whatever it may be, now what does he want us to do to realize God, to receive God's blessings? Namely, the child's attraction for the mother. Please do not misunderstand it. Though in English translation it is like that, it is not child's attraction. Attraction towards the child. Child's attraction for the mother. So, I don't know whether the translation is correct or not, because the original Bengali, and at that time, Thakur telling to Master Mahashaya, is that Santaner Upar Mayarta. So please understand, it is not the child's attraction, but the child's attraction means attraction for the child, for the mother, of the mother. For the mother, attraction for the child. This is how we have to construe it. But it relates to mother's attraction for the child. And though the order seems a little different, the same three are there. What is in mother's attraction toward the child? Unselfishness. What I can do, what all things I can do, what is there which I cannot do? I can do everything for the child. This is mother's attitude. And mind you, this has to go not to your child, but to God. So your child is, of course, a body, a pind, a mass of flesh. And destructible, changing. This will not give you God. This will not give you God. But this attraction which a mother feels for child, you should give to God. That means what I can do for God. What is that which I cannot do for God? I can do anything for God without considering my any selfish idea. That is the mother's love. What will happen to me, I will not think. I will sacrifice everything, not for the sake of my child, for the sake of God. So that is the meaning. Not that you love your child and you are going to get God. So this must be spiritually understood. It is said that one can realize God by directing to Him. By directing to Him the combined intensity of three attractions. Intensity of the attraction. Type of attraction, intensity of attraction. Namely, the child's attraction for the mother, we understood. The husband's attraction for the chaste wife, same thing here. Husband does not have that attraction for a wife, which the wife has for a husband. Thakur specifically mentioned, if a wife is chaste, thinks of her husband only, not of any other person, then the attraction which the wife has for the husband, that should be directed to God. Means what? Your husband is, after all, a block of flesh and bones. But what are all the points which a chaste wife feels for husband? In that actually everything is contained. Wife serves the husband. Wife is friend to the husband. Wife sometimes feels the husband as a child also, takes care of him. And mostly wife feels that if I could merge in him, if I could become one with him, if there would be no difference left between us, that is wife. And all these things you have to apply to God. Finally, I want to merge in God. I want to become one with Him. I will leave nothing as obstruction. He is my child. I will do everything for Him. I will serve Him to my capacity. I will take care of Him. And I will love Him as my friend also. So, this is the chaste wife's attraction to the husband. And then and the attraction of worldly possessions for the worldly man. Here it becomes clear because worldly possessions are not going to that man is coming to them. So, man's attraction for the worldly objects, what is the speciality here? One is that I possess these objects. That is one thing. No, I do not possess anything, I possess God. Then, in the worldly objects, there is variety. A man seeks variety in his enjoyments. I want to eat, I want to drink, I want to play, I want this, I want this, I want this, I want gold, I want silver. So, all this that breaks your mind into thousand pieces should be collected, and you should feel God is my only possession and I want God only. Now, combined intensity of these three, if it goes to God, God will realize this is the reply to the man saying, please bless us. So, you have to apply to the gas company, means put your application properly towards God only, then your prayer should be intense, and then, so Thakur takes that, please bless us to mean, please show us the way to how to realize God. There are certain signs by which you can know a true devotee of God. So all this is telling for the man who has blessings. True devotee of God. If you become a true devotee of God, you will get all blessings. His mind becomes quiet as he listens to his teacher's instruction. So, mind is restless. And the Guru's instructions are making the restlessness conquer. That is the sign of a true disciple, true devotee of God. Just as the poisonous snake is quietened by the music of the charmer. So when the charmer plays the music, that snake steadily listens. So with great attention you have to listen to what the teacher is telling, and then I don't mean the cobra. What does this say? किंतु केवटे नय जात साफ स्थिर होय शून्य किंतु केवटे नय cobra may bite you but other snakes. There is another sign. A real devotee develops the power of assimilating instruction. That is another thing. If he is a real devotee, he can not only understand but assimilate the instructions and act accordingly, change himself accordingly. Now, for this, Thakur gives an example for us to understand. Of course, this example relates to olden times. These days, we have a cell phone, smart cell phone, and we take any picture. No, not like that. An image cannot be impressed on bare glass. In old cameras, we used to use a film or a glass coated with some silver nitrate. If it is only a plain glass, then the image will come, and when the object goes away, the image will go away. Impression will not be there. But if that silver nitrate is there, then the impression comes of that picture. And then you make it positive and all that. So that is the simile. An image cannot be impressed on bare glass, but only on glass stained with a black solution, as in photography. The black solution is devotion to God. So, sign of a real devotee is that if you have devotion to God, you can understand and assimilate the Guru's instruction. Otherwise, you just listen. As the people have been listening and he is asking for blessings. So Thakur says, if you have devotion, then you will assimilate what I have told up till now. There is a third sign of a true devotee. The true devotee has controlled his senses. So restlessness becomes quiet. Attentively he listens to Guru like a tainted glass. He can assimilate. And thirdly, he has controlled his senses. He has subdued his lust. So Kamvasana is more strong. And that he must have. It will not go immediately, but it has to be subdued. Then Guru's instruction will come. The gopis were free from lust. So he gives an example of the absolute freedom from lust which the gopis had. And that was their relation with Krishna. So how many points he has stuffed into this for blessing? You are talking about your leading a householder's life. Somebody had said, is it for householders? Or Thakur has seen that there are householders and they are not ready to renounce, and Thakur knows. Thakur, so you are talking about your leading householder's life. Suppose you are a householder. It rather helps in the practice of spiritual discipline. This is wonderful. Suppose you are a householder. Then you should not say that I am not a sannyasi, how can I do this, how can I do that? You find the positive points being a householder, what are the facilities you are having for bhakti. Rather, it is like fighting from inside a fort. From inside a fort, you fight, not on the open battleground. Because you have a lot of support, you have safety, you feel you don't worry about things, and from there you are trying for God. The tantrics sometimes use a corpse in their religious rites. Shava sadhana, we have come across this 2-3 times. Now and then the dead body frightens them by opening its mouth. What is this? This is not a miracle. The body, it is a corpse, dead body. It has no consciousness, mind you. But your consciousness and your prana, when you are sitting at that prana goes there. And your prana makes that corpse open its mouth. Then what to do? That is why they keep fried rice and grams near them. And from time to time they throw some of the grains into the corpse's mouth. So the householder life means all attractions, everything. So you have to satisfy it and then fight. Thus, pacifying the corpse, they repeat the name of the deity without any worry. Likewise, the householder should pacify his wife and the other members of his family. He should provide them with food and other necessities. If he is a householder, this is a must. Thus, he removes the obstacles to his practice of spiritual discipline. Then they will not trouble you. That is their want. You do that. Those who still have a few worldly experiences to enjoy should lead a householder's life. So if the craving for enjoyment is there, becoming a sannyasi will become hypocrisy and spoiling the sannyasi order, and you will go down because you enjoy a lot of freedom as sannyasi. So you are craving for enjoyment. Be a householder, meet those cravings, and then think of God. That is why Nityananda allowed the worldly to enjoy catfish soup and warm embrace of a young woman. So, in Bengali they used to say, Magur macher jhol, yuvati mer kol, bol haribol. Catfish soup is very tasty. And what is catfish soup? When you cry for God, you will have tears in your eyes, and that is the catfish soup. And who is the young woman? The earth is the young woman. You will roll on it, you will fall on it. So this becomes a temptation like. And so falling into this temptation, they join the kirtan and then they weep and then they roll on the ground. So that is how to the householders Nityananda used to tell this. They had sannyasi disciples, Chaitanya. To them he is not telling that. The sannyasis know he is going to God only. But for the householders, so blessing, Thakur is telling in this way. You have not reached the state to renounce. So, do that enjoyment, whatever you want, and think of God. While repeating God's name. But it is quite different with genuine sannyasis. Genuine sannyasi is not a hypocrite, not a sannyasi in dress only. Genuine sannyasi is different. An example is used. A bee lights on flowers and on nothing else. One example. A fly sits on sweets, wounds, and dirt also, while a bee sits only on the flowers. That is the true genuine sannyasi. He thinks of God alone, not of the world. To the chatak, all water except rain is tasteless. Chatak is a bird who drinks directly the rainwater. So many waters will be filled, but he will not take that. That is a real sannyasi. It will drink no other water, but looks up agape. Agape means opening its beak for that rain that falls when the star Swati is in the ascendant. Swati is one of the important stars, nakshatra, and in Swati time when the rain comes, then only the Chatak is satisfied. It drinks only that water. A real sannyasi will not enjoy any kind of bliss. The Vishayananda, real sannyasi will not enjoy that at all, except the bliss of God. Bhajanananda and Brahmananda. The bee lights only on flowers. The real Mayank is like a bee, whereas the householder devotee is like a common fly, which lights on a festering sore as well as on a sweetmeat. Now he encourages them. You have taken so much trouble to come here. You must be seeking God. So, Thakur is coming there. And there you have come. So, you must be seeking God. But almost everyone is satisfied simply by seeing the garden. Only the celebrations you will join. And indirect little connection with God will come. But we should find the owner of the garden, meet him. That tendency will not come in you. In a celebration, people gather. Only one or two look for its owner. People enjoy the beauty of the world, they do not seek its owner. So the whole world is God's creation. They enjoy the beauty, they do not think of God. So, have you come here like that? How many things he is instructing? All sided. You are taken, pointing to the singer. Thakur was conversing with the singer. A little while ago, he sang a song describing the Sikh center, reverting to that very song, Jago Jago Janani, Awake Awake O Mother. These are dealt with in yoga. So, this is the topic of yoga or tantra. They are not mentioned in Patanjali's book. Huh? So, yoga does not mean only Patanjali book. There are two kinds of yoga, Hatha Yoga and Raja Yoga. So, Hatha Yoga is also called yoga. Hatha Yoga means yoga by force, and Raja Yoga by yoga by wisdom. The Hatha Yogi practices physical exercises. There is no moral training, there is no training of the consciousness, there is no training of the mind. His goal is to acquire supernatural powers. That's all. Longevity, and the 8 psychic powers. There are 8 psychic powers, Anima, Garima, Lagima, etc. He wants those. He wants supernatural powers and he wants to live long. That much is the scope of Hatha Yoga. Because Thakur said that the chakras belong to the Yoga Shastras, so he has to tell that I am talking about Raj Yoga, not the Hatha Yoga. These are his aims. But the aim of Raja Yoga is the attainment of devotion. So Thakur's Raja Yoga is not simply Patanjali. Attainment of devotion, ecstatic love, knowledge, and renunciation. All these will come by the practice of the real yoga. Of these two, Raj Yoga is the better, because Hatha Yoga will not lead to spirituality. There is much similarity between the 7 planes described in the Vedanta and the 6 centers of yoga. So Thakur is now talking about harmony. In Vedanta, they talk of chakras, lotuses, Sushumna is not there. But there are 7 stages of change of consciousness towards God. And that is similar to this. The first 3 planes of the Vedas may be compared to the first 3 yogic centers. Here the word Veda has come. Okay, Vedas Pratham. Muladhar, Swadhisthana and Manipur. We have seen that in detail that day. With ordinary people, the mind dwells in these 3 planes as the organs of the evacuation and generation and at the navel. When the mind ascends to the 4th plane, the center designated in yoga as Anahata, it sees the individual soul as a flame, consciousness. Besides, it sees light, again consciousness. At this, the aspirant cries, what is this? What is this? So, first time he has seen light and he is wonderstruck. When the mind rises to the 5th plane, the aspirant wants to hear only about God. We have seen this, the Vairagya center. This is the Vishuddha center of the yoga. The 6th plane, this Vedantic plane, the 6th plane and the center known by the yogi as Ajna are one and the same. When the mind rises there, the aspirant sees God, but still there is a barrier between God and the devotee. That is that Aham Brahmasmi. It is like the barrier of glass in a lantern which keeps one from touching the light. King Janaka used to give instructions about Brahmajnana from the 5th plane. From the plane of Vairagya, Janaka Raja used to give instructions. Sometimes he dwelt on the 5th plane and sometimes on the 6th. So he could see God, Saguna Brahma, and he could come to throat and instruct. After passing the 6th center, the aspirant arrives at the 7th plane. Reaching it, the mind merges in Brahman. According to Vedanta, the individual soul and the supreme soul become one. The aspirant goes into samadhi. His consciousness of the body disappears. He loses the knowledge of the outer world. He does not see the manifold anymore. His reasoning comes to a stop. And the last thing is important, otherwise we understand that reasoning is used only when there are more than one point. And is discriminating, reasoning, but then when he reaches Nirvikal Samadhi, it stops. In the Kathopanishad, Buddhischa na vicheshtati tamahu paramam gatim. Yada avatiஷ்ठन्ति यदा पंचावतिष्ठन्ति ज्ञानानि मनसा स बुद्धिश्च न विचेष्टति ताम आहु परमां गतिम्. Sriranga Swami once said that because a man reasons, he is conscious of multiplicity. Sure, beautiful explanation. Of variety. Attaining samadhi, one gives up the body in 21 days, ordinary jiva. Spiritual consciousness is not possible without the awakening of the Kundalini. By this he has joined the yoga and the jnana. A man who has realized God shows certain characteristics. Again and again, we should check ourselves on that and others also on that. He becomes like a child or a madman or an inert thing or a ghost. उन्मत्त वधवा papi cha bala vadva, then jadavat and pishachavat in Vivek Chudamani. Now we have to understand this. Child. Child has no ego. Child has no special attraction for something permanently. Child has no attachment to anything. So the man of realization becomes or behaves like that. Madman, because madman cannot behave like us due to his attachment to something. But the jnani, because his consciousness has gone beyond our ordinary consciousness, so he cannot follow our behavior and our routine. And Jadavat, Jadavat means he is dead to the world. And that's why the world does not affect him. So he appears Jadavat. He is superconscious, but he appears Jadavat means unaffected by anything in the world. And Gaul, Gaul Pishach, that means he is not particular about external cleanliness. Because he has realized the Supreme, he is not particular about the external cleanliness. Further, he is firmly convinced that he is the machine and God is his operator. Firmly convinced means he feels like that. His consciousness is like that, that I, the doer, is gone from him. It is the God who is going through this body, this mind, etc. That God alone is the doer, and all others are his instruments that he understands. Others do not understand. As some Sikh devotees once said to me, even the leaf moves because of God's will. I told you some story on this. So Sikh devotees used to come to Thakur and they told him that nothing happens without God's will. Thakur's habit. He might have realized everything in the world, but if he has heard something from somebody, he takes that name and tells. That is his Thakur's speciality. We read the other day in Shankar Bhashya, Taittiriya Upanishad, that Rishi's name must be remembered along with that mantra. One should be aware that everything happens by the will of Rama. The weaver said, we have heard this story, how everything happens by God's will. By the will of Rama, the robbery was committed. By the will of Rama, the robbers were arrested. By the will of Rama, I was arrested by the police, and at last, by the will of Rama, I was released. So, unaffected by what is happening, this is life. To know that God has ordained everything. Everything happens by God's will. Good, bad, everything. Apparently bad, but it is God's will that is working that way. Good, that is God's will. So no blame of the world, but God's will. That is supreme devotion. It was dusk. Sri Ramakrishna had had no rest since his midday meal. He had talked unceasingly to the devotees about God. At last, the visitors took their leave and went home. He could get some time at that time. So he shifted to Friday, June 15, 1883. It was a holiday on account of the Hindu religious festival Dashara. June and Dashara. Oh, Ganga Dashara. The river Ganges is worshipped. Dashahara means she removes our karmas which we have done in 10 lives. So Ganga Dashahara is a religious festival and it was a holiday, remember. Now they don't give this holiday. Among the devotees who visited Sri Ramakrishna at Dakshineshwar that day were Adhar, M. and Rakhal's father. Rakhal's father's father-in-law was also present. Why it is talked like that? Not Rakhal's grandfather. Rakhal's mother had died. His father had married a second time. So by that marriage, there is a father-in-law. Always seated on the floor of the master's room. So nobody feels higher, though they are landlords. Rakhal's father's father-in-law was a devotee of God. He asked the master that hints that Rakhal's father was not a devotee. He asked the master, Sir, can one realize God by leading the life of a householder? So this is a more direct, sincere question. Master with a smile, why not? But riders will come. Huh? That means the intention should be there. Live in the world like a mudfish. The mudfish lives in the mud, but itself remains unstained. So like that can you live in the world? Unattached. Struggle for that. Live in the world, but let not world affect you. Or live in the world like a loose woman, another example. She does everything in the house, but her mind is on some paramour. She attends to her household duties, but her mind is always on her sweetheart. Do your duties in the world, fixing your mind on God. That is not easy. It is easy to say what to do. Thakur himself tells, but this is extremely difficult. I said to the members of the Brahma Samaj, suppose a typhoid patient, so what is the condition of a householder? Suppose a typhoid patient is kept in a room where there are jars of pickles and pitchers of waters. How can they expect the patient to recover? The very thought of spiced pickles brings water to one's mouth. To a man, woman is like the pickle, householder's life. The craving for worldly things, which is chronic to man, is like the patient's craving for water, because always he wants that water. There is no end to this craving. The typhoid patient says, I shall drink a whole pitcher of water. The situation is very difficult. First he said, why not? And now he's telling, situation is very difficult. There is so much confusion in the world. Confusion, sansare nana goal. There are, I would say, there are many complications in the world. Not only confusion in the mind, but the life has become complicated. There are many complications in the world. If you go this way, you are threatened with a shovel. If you go that way, you are threatened with a broomstick. Again, in another direction, you are threatened with a shoe beating. So, where will you go? Everywhere there are dangers in householders' life. Compare all this. You satisfy and then you do, but there are complications. Besides, one cannot think of God unless one lives in solitude. So, one has to live in solitude, even if you are a householder. The goldsmith melts gold to make ornaments, but how can he do his work? Well, if he is disturbed again and again, so some delicate art. Suppose you are separating rice from bits of husk, you must do it all by yourself. Every now and then, that means discrimination. Every now and then, you have to take the rice in your hand to see how clean it is. Introspection. But how can you do your work well if you are called away again and again in the world? A devotee, what then is the way, sir? Master, there is a way. One succeeds if one develops a strong spirit of renunciation in the household. If one succeeds in developing a strong spirit of renunciation, give up at once with determination what you know to be unreal. Vedantic argument. What is unreal? God alone is real, everything else is unreal. But if you know something is unreal, throw it off completely. Once when I was seriously ill, I was taken to the physician Ganga Prasad Sen. He said to me, I shall give you a medicine, but you must not drink any water. You may take pomegranate juice. Everyone wondered how I could live without water, but I was determined not to drink it. I said to myself, I am a Paramahansa and not a goose. I shall drink only milk. The Paramahansas, Hamsas, Rajahamsas, they separate milk and take away what remains. Ordinary goose will drink water, milk, whatever is mixed, whatever is present. So Thakur told himself like that, I can take only milk, I will not touch water. Devotee, if God is responsible, another argument, if God is responsible for everything, then why should people speak of good and evil, virtue and vice? One commits sin also by the will of God, isn't that so? So Thakur has told everything happens by God's will. So that argument is pulled like this. But before Thakur could reply, another devotee has asked, how can we understand the will of God? Whether it is will of God or our own, how to understand that? Master, so Thakur has to reply to two questions now. Master, there is no doubt that virtue and vice exist in the world. No doubt. But God Himself is unattached to them. God is Trigunatit, He is not good or bad. is beyond good and bad. There may be good and bad smells in the air, but the air is not attached to them. That will go away. Air will be where air. The very nature of God's creation is that good and evil, righteousness and unrighteousness will always exist in the world. That is the nature of the world, God's creation. Among the trees in the garden, one finds mango and jackfruit and hawk plum too. So every type of tree. Haven't you noticed that even wicked men are needed in the society? So God has created all of them. Suppose there are rough tenants on the estate, then the landlord must send a ruffian to control them. Only going and talking with them will not do. The conversation again turned to the life of the householder. So, and that is the main point going on. Master to the devotees. In between the will of God and other things, sin and all that had come, but now again householder's life. To the devotees, you see, by leading householder's life, a man needlessly dissipates his mental powers. That is the main thing. The first birth is a gift to the first birth is a gift of the Father. First birth is a gift of the Father. Then comes the second birth, householder's life, when one is invested with the sacred thread and starts his education. There is still another birth at the time of being initiated into monastic life. So you become sannyasi, there is another birth because you can realize God. And there, in the Prashnopanishad, we will find that the disciples tell the Guru, you are Brahma Sharirasya Janayita Pita. You have created that personality in us by which we realize God. The two obstacles to spiritual life are woman and God, enjoyment. Attachment to woman diverts one from the way leading to God straight away. Man doesn't know what it is that causes his downfall. So, example, this downfall is a very gradual process and you don't understand. Once while going to the fort in Calcutta, there is a underground fort. And very slowly the slope goes on and you reach the underground. So Thakur had gone there. I couldn't see at all that I was driving down a sloping road on carriage. So many slowly are going down. But when the carriage went inside the fort, I realized how far down I had come. Alas, women keep men deluded. Captain says, Thakur's devotee, but householder. My wife is full of wisdom. The man possessed by a ghost does not realize it. He says, why I am all right. So, on every side of householder's life, Thakur is still. This one should be aware of. Neither is condemning them, but one must be aware of the dangers one faces when in householder's life and then accordingly cultivate renunciation. The devotees listened to these words in deep silence. They were such words because they were stunned to think of this. Master, it is not lust alone that one should be afraid of in the life of the world. There is also anger. Kam, Krodh. Anger arises when obstacles are placed in the way of desire. So that also is terrible disturbance. We shall take up this topic of anger tomorrow. Om Tava Kathāmritam Tapta Jivanam Kavivireeditam Kalmashapaham Shravanamangalam Shrimadaatatam Bhuvi Grunanti Ye Bhurida Jana. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Tat Sat. Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.